Nat Turner, an enslaved man in 19th-century Virginia, led a violent rebellion in 1831. Driven by religious visions he interpreted as a divine command to liberate his people. His actions resulted in the deaths of white slaveholders and, in retaliation, the killing of many black individuals and the passage of harsher laws against enslaved and free black people. Turner's rebellion was a rare instance of overt armed resistance against the brutal system of slavery in the United States. In the present day, a Nat Turner would likely manifest as a figure driven by a profound sense of injustice and a conviction that conventional means of achieving change are insufficient. Resorts to extreme measures to dismantle a system perceived as inherently oppressive and dehumanizing. Here's how such a figure might appear in modern society. Motivation from systemic oppression. Similar to how Turner reacted to the systemic dehumanization of chattel slavery, a modern Nat Turner would emerge from a context of deep-seated, persistent, systemic oppression. This could involve issues like widespread racial injustice, economic exploitation, or the systematic denial of human rights to a specific group. The individual would perceive existing legal and political structures as fundamentally incapable or unwilling to address these grievances. Radical ideology. Just as Turner's actions were informed by a fervent, apocalyptic religious vision, a modern counterpart would likely be guided by a radical ideology. This ideology might stem from a deep philosophical belief, a particular interpretation of social justice, or even a reinterpretation of religious texts that calls for drastic action to overthrow perceived evil. This ideology would be seen as the ultimate justification for their methods, disregard for conventional methods. A Nat Turner in the present day would have lost faith in peaceful protest, legal challenges, or political reform as effective avenues for change. They would likely view these methods as either too slow, inherently compromised by the oppressive system, or simply futile against entrenched power structures. Leadership of a small, committed group. While modern movements often leverage large, diffuse networks, a Nat Turner would likely lead a relatively small, highly dedicated and secretive group of individuals who share the same extreme conviction. Their actions would be characterized by a willingness to engage in direct, disruptive, and potentially violent confrontation, targeting symbols of oppression. The targets of a modern Nat Turner would be carefully chosen to symbolize the oppressive system they are fighting. This might include infrastructure, corporate entities perceived as exploitative, government institutions, or individuals seen as key perpetuators of injustice. The aim would be to create terror and alarm within the dominant system, forcing an acknowledgement of the severity of the grievance. Third, controversial legacy. Such a figure would inevitably be highly controversial. While some might view them as a freedom fighter or a martyr for a just cause, others would condemn their actions as terrorism. 5. Criminal and utterly unacceptable. Regardless of the underlying grief, the actions would spark intense debate about the ethics of resistance, the nature of justice, and the limits of societal tolerance for radical change. 4. Trigger for repression and further debate. Like Nat Turner's rebellion, a modern equivalent would almost certainly trigger a severe response from authorities, leading to increased surveillance, harsher laws, and potentially further oppression against the group they aim to liberate. It would also force a societal reckoning with the issues that led to such extreme acts, potentially sparking both renewed efforts at reform and further polarization. In essence, a present-day Nat Turner would be a figure who, believing that extreme oppression necessitates extreme measures, takes violent action to disrupt the status quo, challenging the very foundations of the perceived unjust system and sparking widespread fear, condemnation, and possibly an uncomfortable reevaluation of societal norms.